For thousands of years, one land has stood at the crossroads of civilizations, a land where empires rose, religions transformed societies, and global powers fought for influence. Today, we know it as Iran, but the story of Iran did not begin with the modern republic, the revolution, or even Islam. To understand Iran today, we must travel back more than 2,500 years to the age of empires. In the 6th century BCE, a powerful ruler emerged from the Iranian plateau, Cyrus the Great. Cyrus united the Persian tribes and created one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. Known as the Achaemenid Empire, it stretched from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean Sea. What made this empire unique was not only its size, but its governance. Unlike many conquerors, Cyrus allowed conquered peoples to keep their cultures, religions, and traditions. One famous example is his decision to allow the Jewish people to return to Jerusalem after their Babylonian exile. This policy of tolerance made the empire remarkably stable. Later, rulers like Darius I expanded and organized the empire further. They built an advanced administrative system, royal roads connecting vast territories, and monumental cities like Persepolis. But even great empires fall. In 330 BCE, the empire collapsed when Alexander the Great defeated the Persians. Yet Persian culture would survive long after the empire itself disappeared. After Alexander's conquest, Persia passed through several dynasties. First, the Seleucids, then the Parthians, and later, the powerful Sasanian Empire. The Sasanian Empire became a major rival of the Roman and Byzantine empires. For centuries, Persia and Rome fought wars that shaped the ancient world. At this time, the dominant religion of Persia was Zoroastrianism, one of the oldest monotheistic faiths. But by the 7th century, a new force was rising from the Arabian Peninsula, and it would transform Persia forever. In the 600s and 640, the rapidly expanding Muslim armies began conquering territories beyond Arabia. They soon clashed with the weakened Sasanian Empire. By 651 CE, the Sasanian state collapsed. Persia had become part of the growing Islamic world. The Islamization of Persia was not immediate. For centuries, Persian culture blended with Islamic traditions. Instead of disappearing, Persian identity reshaped the Islamic civilization itself. Persian scholars, poets, and scientists became central figures in the Islamic Golden Age. Figures like Avicenna and Omar Khayyam influenced science, philosophy, and literature across the Muslim world. Over time, Persia developed a unique identity within Islam. This identity would later play a critical role in shaping modern Iran. In the early 1500s, a new dynasty rose to power, the Safavid dynasty. Their leader, Shah Ismail I, made a revolutionary decision. He declared Sharia Islam the official religion of the state. This transformed Persia into the center of Sharia Islam, distinguishing it from its Sunni neighbors like the Ottoman Empire. This religious shift still shapes the geopolitics of the Middle East today. For the next centuries, Persia remained an important regional power, but by the 19th century, the country faced a new challenge. Not invading armies, but imperial influence. During the 1800s, Persia found itself caught between two expanding empires, the British Empire and the Russian Empire. Both wanted influence over Persia for strategic reasons. Britain wanted to protect its route to India. Russia wanted access to warm water ports and southern expansion. The result was a period of political pressure, economic concessions, and growing foreign control. But the true turning point came in the early 20th century, when something was discovered beneath Persian soil: oil. In 1908, vast oil reserves were discovered in Persia. This discovery transformed the country overnight. The oil fields quickly attracted the attention of global powers. The British-backed Anglo-Persian Oil Company, which would later become BP, gained control over much of Iran's oil industry, but the profits largely flowed abroad. Many Iranians saw this as exploitation. Oil would soon become both a blessing and a curse. It brought wealth, but also foreign interference and internal conflict. In 1925, a military officer named Reza Shah Pahlavi seized power. He founded the Pahlavi Dynasty and began a sweeping modernization campaign. Reza Shah wanted to transform Iran into a strong, modern nation. He built railways, centralized the government, strengthened the military, and promoted secular reforms. But his rule was also authoritarian. Political opposition was suppressed, and power was concentrated in the monarchy. During World War II, Britain and the Soviet Union invaded Iran to secure oil supplies and supply routes. Reza Shah was forced to abdicate. His son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, became the new ruler. Under Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Iran became a key ally of the United States during the Cold War. The Shah pursued rapid modernization and westernization. One of his major programs was the White Revolution, which introduced land reforms, women's rights, and industrial development. But modernization came with problems. Economic inequality widened, traditional religious institutions lost influence, and political repression intensified. One moment symbolized the tension between nationalism and foreign influence. In 1953, Iran's Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, nationalized the oil industry. But soon after, a coup supported by the CIA and British intelligence removed him from power and strengthened the Shah's authority. For many Iranians, this event became proof that foreign powers controlled their country's destiny. Opposition began to grow. Among the critics was an exiled religious leader. That leader was Ruhollah Khomeini. Khomeini criticized the Shah for corruption, Western influence, and repression. By the late 1970s, protests were spreading across Iran. Students, religious groups, workers, and intellectuals united against the monarchy. In 1979, the Shah fled the country and Khomeini returned from exile. The monarchy collapsed. Iran became an Islamic Republic. For the first time in modern history, a state was built around the idea of Islamic governance under clerical authority. This revolution shocked the world, especially the United States. Soon after, another crisis erupted. In November 1979, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. They took 52 American diplomats hostage. The crisis lasted 444 days. It permanently damaged relations between Iran and the United States, and it marked the beginning of decades of political hostility. But Iran's challenges were far from over. Soon, the country faced war. In 1980, neighboring Saddam Hussein invaded Iran. The Iran-Iraq War would become one of the longest and bloodiest conflicts of the late 20th century. The war lasted 8 years. Millions were killed or wounded. Cities were bombed. Chemical weapons were used, and the economy was devastated. But the war also strengthened the new Islamic Republic. It united the population against an external threat and solidified the revolutionary government. Today, Iran remains one of the most influential and controversial countries in the Middle East. It has vast energy resources, including some of the largest oil and natural gas reserves in the world. Its political system combines elements of democracy with strong clerical oversight. At the top of the system stands the supreme leader. Iran also plays a major role in regional politics. Its alliances and rivalries influence conflicts across the Middle East, from Iraq and Syria to Lebanon and Yemen. At the same time, the country faces economic challenges, international sanctions, and domestic political debates about its future. Inside Iran, a young and educated population increasingly discusses questions about reform, identity, and global integration. Outside Iran, global powers continue to watch closely because Iran sits at the intersection of energy, ideology, and geopolitics. Today, Iran stands at the center of one of the most dangerous geopolitical confrontations in the Middle East. Its rivalry with Israel and the United States has intensified over the decades since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. What began as ideological opposition gradually evolved into a shadow conflict fought through sanctions, cyber attacks, intelligence operations, tensions and proxy wars across the region. But in recent years, these tensions have moved closer to direct confrontation. One of the most critical strategic points in this conflict is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow maritime passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Nearly 20% of the world's traded oil passes through this corridor. During periods of military escalation in the region, shipping in and around the strait has repeatedly been disrupted. These incidents have already caused sharp reactions in global energy markets, with oil and gas prices rising rapidly as traders fear a wider conflict. This is why the tensions surrounding Iran extend far beyond the Middle East, because when instability reaches the Strait of Hormuz, the consequences are felt across the entire global economy.